One thing that I suggest is that you go to fast food places that are more well known, such as McDonald's, Burger King. What's up guys, Johnny here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about simple reasons why you're not losing weight. If you're not losing weight, then technically you're not in a caloric deficit. So that's the first thing you have to make sure. You have to make sure that you're not eating more than your maintenance level. You have to be eating less than that. So it really doesn't matter what kind of diet you're doing. You can either be doing vegan diets, carnivore diets. I don't know, there's so many diets out there right now. There's always one that's coming up. Pick one that you think you're going to be able to adhere to and stick with that. If you feel like you can adhere to a diet that doesn't require you to eat carbs, then that's the best diet for you to adhere to. Just make sure that you know how to track your calories. So you know how to weigh your food, you know how much calories you have to be eating, and you know how much deficit you have to be in to continue your weight loss. The next thing that you have to do is that you have to figure out your caloric deficit. Figuring out your caloric deficit is not as simple as giving yourself a 500 calorie deficit. That's the general recommendation that people give to everybody, because 3,500 equals 1 pound of fat. If you eat 500 calories less each day, then that means you're going to be losing 1 pound of fat in 1 week if you calculate your calories for the whole week and you account for that. But it's not going to be the same for everybody. If you weigh more than what's average, let's say like 250 pounds, then a 500 calorie deficit is not going to be appropriate for you. You're probably going to need more than that to take yourself out of your maintenance calories and actually experience weight loss. The second thing that you have to remember is that the calorie deficit that you're going to be giving yourself has to be appropriate for your body composition. So if you weigh more than 200 pounds, make sure that you account for that. If you weigh less than 200 pounds, make sure you account for that also, because that doesn't mean that you have to use 500 calorie deficit immediately. Maybe you can get away with less than that. So if you think about this, it really makes sense that you know how much calories you have to take out for you to start or continue your weight loss. All right, so the next thing you have to make sure that you have control with is your bad habits. Making sure that you have control of your bad habits, like not planning ahead, always eating out and snacking. Those are the things that you are 100% have control. Because if you plan ahead, then there's no reason for you to be eating out. If you plan your meals ahead of time, then there's no reason for you to, for example, cheat. Snacking, the main reason why people snack is because they're bored, but you just don't have set time to eat. So you don't know what time you're going to be having breakfast. You don't know what time you're going to be having lunch, dinner. And if you don't know this, there's no way for you to tell your mind when it starts feeling that it wants to eat a snack. So if you start seeing chips, for example, and you tell yourself, oh, I want to eat that because I don't know what time I'm going to be eating. It's probably going to be in the next 3 hours or the next 5 hours or when I get home. But if you know for a fact that you're going to be eating at this specific time, then you can tell yourself, don't eat that snack, because you know for a fact you're going to be eating in the next 30 minutes or in the next hour. So that's a good way to kind of help yourself battle this kind of mindset when you're in that situation. And this is another way for you to make sure that you are adhering to your weight loss, because you're not cheating or you're not eating outside of what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying that you have to be 100% committed to tracking your calories all the time, or you have to be perfect all the time. That won't make sense, because this has to be part of your lifestyle. But you should at least try to be mindful of these little things, because if you want to continue with your progression with your weight loss, then these are little adjustments you should be looking in and see if you're actually doing them. If you're not meal prepping yet, then maybe that's something that you can do if you're not losing weight. If you're always snacking, then that's 100% something that's preventing you from continuing with your weight loss. If you're not having specific time of the day that you're going to be eating, that's easily something that you can implement. This is the part where I tell you that what you eat matters, not because it's good or bad food or I'm attaching moral values to certain food items. I want you to know this because there are foods that's going to be helping you to continue with your weight loss or adhere to it much easier than if you eat something else. How much a food weighs doesn't really correlate to how much calories it has. For example, 100 grams of cucumbers won't have the same carbohydrates as 100 grams of pasta. Knowing this will help you choose the right food items that's going to help you adhere to your diet much easier. So if you have really low calories for the day, it's not really smart for you to try to fit bread, pasta, or chocolate in your budget because you're just going to be eating in a surplus. And you're not eating those because those are bad for you. You're not eating those because you want to be smart with your calories and how you manage it. So one thing that you can do is you're going to be focusing on low calories, high volume foods instead, and those will be vegetables or fruits. Not because those are good for you or healthy for you, because those will fit in your calorie budget and you can eat a lot of those, feel satisfied, and you won't be hungry as much. You have to be smart with your calories and how you budget your calories throughout the whole day. The lower your calories are, the more difficult it is to play around with it and eat the foods that you would normally freely eat when you have high calories. You have to focus on low calories, high volume food items to make sure that you are full and satisfied at each and every meal and not always thinking about food or not hungry. And this is the things you're going to be experiencing no matter what. So being smart in the beginning will definitely help you out when you start losing more weight and when you start getting to the lower parts of your diet. Focusing on low calorie, high volume foods will be your main strategy to continue your weight loss. Another reason why you're not losing weight is that if you're eating a lot of packaged foods, that might be the problem. I'm not saying they're bad because I actually like them a lot. If you have no choice, if you're going out and you can't eat anything else, then go for something that has food label because you can easily track them. Some of these are actually inaccurate and they give you misinformation. You don't have to completely remove it from your meal plan, but just be mindful that if you're eating a lot of this, then that's probably causing your weight loss to stall. And if you start replacing your meal plan with more foods that have one single ingredient like salads or meat or chicken or pasta, it's going to be so much easier to track them because you know 100% that that's the only ingredient that's going to be there. So tracking it and figuring out the nutritional value of those will be more accurate compared to something that are packaged. Another thing you have to be mindful of are packaged foods that are from different countries. Their food regulation is not 100% as regulated as ours here in America. So just keep that in mind because in my experience, I eat a lot of Asian foods. So the foods that I get, usually they don't even list all the macronutrients in the food label. Usually they would just have carbs and protein and that's it. And some of the foods that you find in stores that don't even put food labels, those are the things that you want to try to lessen from your diet and not use as much on your meal plan. And again, as I've mentioned before, I suggest just go for foods that are single ingredient because those are so much more easier to track. If you find yourself always eating out or always going to restaurants to eat, then this is something you have to be really aware of because when you start eating foods that are not made by you, it's so much more difficult to track them because you're not 100% sure how much carbs is in there, how much sugar there is in the food. One thing that I suggest is that you go to fast food places that are more well known, such as McDonald's, Burger King, because they have websites that list the nutritional values of the foods that you can order from them. But ideally, your meal plan should consist of whole foods and foods that are made at home. Again, not because those are better for you, it's just because they're so much more convenient and so much more accurate when you are tracking and making sure that your weight loss continues. If you're a female and your weight loss stops, ask yourself if your menstrual cycle is about to happen or you're within a couple of days of this, because this can cause your weight to go up, maybe a lot of water retention, and it doesn't really mean that you're gaining body fat. It just means that your hormones are getting there and this is about to happen to you. So it's nothing too serious, just wait until your menstrual cycle completely stops or you get to the end of it and your body levels out, and then you'll see that your weight will drop again and you'll get back to normal. And then from then, you can decide if your weight loss is actually stopping because of this or it's because of something else. If you're eating a lot of fiber, then this is another reason why your weight loss stalls or you're not losing weight anymore. It's because you're not able to go to the bathroom, you're not able to stay regular. Too much of anything is bad for you. So you have to make sure that your fiber intake is in the right place. Since your calories are low right now, and hopefully you're focusing on low calories, high volume foods, then definitely your fiber intake is more than usual. So just be aware of this, and if you're tracking your calories and you know your macronutrients, then you can stay on top of this. At this point, it's better to be balanced. So you're probably gonna have 50% of low calorie, high volume foods and another 50% of high calorie, low volume foods. So make sure that your fiber intake is in control and you're not experiencing weight gain due to the fact that you have extra content in your stomach and you're not able to go to the bathroom. And the last thing that's probably causing your weight to stop is the fact that you're probably not tracking your weight accurately. So if you weigh yourself in the morning and then on the next day you weigh yourself at night, right before you just ate, of course the difference will be very high, because you can have an empty stomach in the morning and then at night it's going to be full. So you're going to weigh more. It's not because you gained weight, it's because you didn't really accurately weigh yourself. So what I suggest is that you weigh yourself at the same time every day. One thing that you can do is do it in the morning, because in the morning is the best. Since you don't have any food in your stomach after waking up, you want to limit the variables when it comes to weighing yourself, because little things affect your weight. Salt, the water, how much sleep you had before, stress, all of this can affect your daily fluctuations when it comes to weighing yourself. If you do weigh yourself in the morning, you have to account for how many hours of sleep you had the night before or the day before, because that's going to affect how much you weigh. And the less sleep that you have, then that means the less time the food has been digesting in your stomach. So if you had 5 hours of sleep and then you weigh yourself, you're going to weigh more compared to sleeping for 8 hours, because you had more time to digest the food that you had in your stomach when you weighed yourself. So as you can see from the list that I've mentioned in this video, some of these things are very simple and can be implemented to your lifestyle immediately so you can continue with your weight loss. You don't have to immediately cut your calories or do something that's super restricted that's going to affect you negatively. You have to progress in a very slow manner so you can make sure that these little things are being fixed along the way, because you want this to be part of your lifestyle. So I hope that helps you guys. I appreciate it. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you like this type of content, and check out my other videos that I created also. A lot of the stuff that I talk about are fat loss, but if you have any other suggestions that you want me to have in my other videos, just leave a comment below and I'll be happy to make a video about that or maybe talk about that. And until then, I'll talk to you guys soon.